Hello and welcome to the English Like a Native podcast, the listening resource for intermediate to advanced level English learners. My name is Anna, and today we are learning English through a short story. We all enjoy a good story. As children, we often beg our parents to read another book. And at bedtime, we can't possibly close our eyes and settle down until we've had a bedtime story. My children often want 3, 4, 5, 6 stories at bedtime. So we settle for one story each. And then I sometimes will tell them an extra story once they're tucked up in bed. But stories don't just stop with children and childhood. We enjoy stories throughout our lives in many different forms. We enjoy reading books and we enjoy getting little glimpses of people's personal stories in magazines, on YouTube, on social media. We also enjoy stories in the form of film or on the radio or in podcast form. We like stories because it takes us on a journey. Sometimes we learn something new. Sometimes it verifies a thing we already know. Sometimes it challenges us to consider another point of view or to change our own minds and points of view. And often they are heartwarming, they are thought-provoking, they are frightening. They provide us with some form of outlet or escape from our own lives. And so stories can be beneficial in so many ways. We used stories back in the early times, back when we were, making fire and wearing loincloths. We were telling stories to one another as a way to teach, as a way to pass down lessons. And story is just as powerful today as it was back then, just as important. So when it comes to learning, especially learning English, it's much more powerful to learn structures, vocabulary within a story than it is out of context. So if you're trying to onboard lots of professional English vocabulary so that you can use it in the workplace, it's much better to learn that vocabulary in context in the setting of a story than it is to try and just look at the list and onboard that to remember that list of words. So, with that said, today I'm going to be sharing with you a short story. And this is called Roller Coaster Day. And I hope you'll enjoy it. So, without further ado, let me introduce you to this little story. What a day it has been. You know, the ones when everything feels like a roller coaster ride? Well, today has been just that, full of ups and downs and surprises. The first couple of hours at work were a piece of cake. I work for a publishing company and I have to deal with a lot of requests, deadlines, and demands. I managed to finish everything ahead of schedule, and it felt great to breeze through my to-do list without too many interruptions or distractions. This doesn't happen very often, believe me. Later in the morning, though, I received an email that completely changed my day. It was from my boss, notifying me that I had been selected to attend a prestigious industry conference next month. This was a golden opportunity to network with professionals, to gain valuable insights and showcase our publishing company on a larger stage. She said she had passed on my contact details to the organizers and that I should expect to hear from them soon. Lucky me, eh? However, I soon got a follow-up email from the conference organizers stating that I had only been selected as a reserve. There had been some miscommunication, and I would only attend in the case that a colleague of mine was unable to. To add to my frustration, I then found out that a key project I had been working on diligently for weeks had hit a major snag. One of our partners had gone back on a promise to support us financially, putting the entire project at risk. At lunchtime, I seriously considered giving up on the day and going home to work. I had the flexibility to be able to do this, but I decided I would stick things out. Maybe after a good lunch at the pub around the corner, I'd have a change of luck. I usually order the same thing, steak and kidney pie. But one of the specials of the day was chicken tikka masala. Well, I thought to myself, if I have a hot curry, then I'll have the perfect excuse to order a pint of beer. I don't normally have a drink until the evening, but I needed to put the events of this morning well and truly behind me. The curry was great. The beer, too. I started wondering whether I could get away with ordering another when my mobile pinged. It was my boss again. She'd realized that she'd jumped the gun when she told me that I'd be going to the conference, and she wanted to apologize. I'd come in here to forget all about that, and now I was thinking about it all over again. She was still trying, though, and I tried to predict what she would say. Maybe she would give me a high-profile author to work with, or perhaps she'd find out that I was at the pub and want to join me to discuss the new project. It was a long message, and as she kept on typing, I got fed up of just looking at the screen, and I got up to settle my bill. I didn't carry a lot of cash with me as I pay for everything with my mobile these days. But I wanted to leave a tip as the chicken tikka had been a hit with me. I took out my wallet and scrambled around for a couple of quid to stick in the tips jar. My mobile pinged again, and assuming it was my boss, I wanted to see what she had been taking so long to type. I started juggling the coins and the mobile and trying to do too much at the same time. I ended up knocking the jar off the counter. Oh, as I tried to catch it, I lost control of my mobile, dropped it, and everything ended up crashing to the floor. Obviously, I attracted the attention of everyone in the pub. The staff came running over and tidied up the mess, separating the coins from the pieces of broken jar. They jokingly asked me if I was trying to take the tips money in order to pay for my meal. I apologized and produced a £10 note to cover the tip and the price of a new jar. "I'll stick to the steak and kidney pie next time," I said, and I went back to work. In the commotion, I'd forgotten about the message, and I was just getting back to my office when my phone started ringing. I answered and heard my boss's excited voice. "Well, what do you think?" The message, I hadn't read it, of course, so I had to ask her what was in it before I could tell her what I thought. She told me that she'd just heard back from the organisers of the conference and that there would be a place for me there after all. I think she had pulled a few strings so that I could go, but I didn't ask any questions. I was just as pleased as punch. The rest of the afternoon was unremarkable, but on my way home, my car started playing up. I had to take it to the garage where the mechanic hit me with the bad news. It would cost me an arm and a leg to fix the issues. They gave me a courtesy car to use while they worked on my own. An automatic. Oh, it was going to be hard for me to get used to the non-manual system. On the way home, I pulled over as I got a video call from my friend Morgan. He was grinning like a Cheshire cat. I knew something exciting was coming. "Come on, Morgan, spill the beans," I insisted. They'd got the job they'd been after. I was genuinely chuffed for them, and their good news cheered me up while I tried to remember how to operate the courtesy car. When I got home, I thought to myself that life has a funny way of evening things out. 1 minute you're up, the next you're down, then you come back up again. That's the roller coaster of life. like I said. And it wasn't over yet. The evening took an unexpected turn when I received a message from my favorite author. Out of the blue, they were readying a surprise book launch on Sunday. Would you believe, though, right after getting this message through, my daughter Taylor called me and dropped the bombshell. She had finally decided to leave the student flat, which she had been sharing with a group of, well, good-for-nothings, I called them. Anyway, she told them and they want her out ASAP. I would have to get her out of there this weekend. Ugh. Sod's law strikes again. Life keeps you on your toes, all right. I retired to the living room with a beer while I waited for dinner to cook in the oven. I needed something to settle me down. No sooner had I plonked myself in the armchair than I heard a kerfuffle outside. I got up and looked out of the window. There seemed to be a bit of an issue with someone blocking another resident's driveway. More concerning to me, though, was that there was an unfamiliar car in my parking space. What now? I cried. And I was halfway out of the front door before I remembered that my own car was at the garage. The strange car was my temporary wheels. After dinner, I decided to have an early night and hoped that the day had finished with its surprises. I hit the hay at 9 and slept like a baby until my alarm went off the next morning. And that rounds up today's episode. Did you hear any interesting words or phrases that were unfamiliar to you? Well, if you would like to know more about some of those interesting words or phrases, then you can get a full vocabulary list for this podcast by clicking on the link in the description. Now, normally vocabulary lists and transcripts are available to Plus members. We send out an email every Monday for Plus members to get their bonus content as well as transcripts and word lists. But today I'm making the word list available to everyone so that you can all benefit. But in future, perhaps you'll consider supporting the podcast by becoming a Plus member. To get your hands on that vocabulary list, just click on the link in the description. Until next time, take very good care.